Hello everybody, welcome to this playthrough for Master Division with various wind here in Golf Clash the game. Before we have a closer look at all the content in this video, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. That helps the channel immensely. For those of you that do want to take the next step in your game and improve it even more, you can scan the QR code here on the screen or use the link that is in the description down below called patreon.com/golfclashtommy. We there have checkpoint challenge, tour play and tournament guides for everyone. So make sure to check it out and sign up and improve your game today. You can start as low as $3 per 30 days. Info box on the right hand side to get the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. So on hole number 8, we're starting with any ball really. We do want to find the top of +0, which is max P0 line, with the second bounce just by the rough line. Now 7 top spin, 1 left spin is what I'm using, and I'm using a P3 win 5 ball. For those that have the possibility to play with a P4 win 5 ball or a P5 win 5 ball, that's going to be much easier, because then you don't have to go with any overpower on the drive, like never. But now, as I'm playing with a P3 ball, I'm going to have to apply whatever overpower I adjust into. So especially those of you that do play with an Apocalypse level 5 that needs to add an additional ring to what you adjust into, that could definitely become a good thing to use a P4 win 5 or a P5 win 5. Obviously you can play with a win 4 ball as well, but if you do want to play with a win 4, I would recommend to play with either a P4 ball or a P5 ball for that matter, to not maximize the overpower completely, because we do want it perfect. Single great left, single great right has been fine, so that's no issues in that way, and we do want to get to around 350 to 360 yards. Second shot, now we are going to play with 1 right spin and 2 back spin. Ball guideline to hole. Have in mind that you can play this one with a B52 level F7 or level 8, or you go to Grizzly level 9. We will have numbers for Grizzly in the guide too, obviously. Now from +4 we play max +15 P3 numbers, and then we're adding or subtracting from there. So +5, we're adding an extra 0.1. No double pull over bullseye, so we pull, in this case we're gonna pull 10.5 rings. So I'm pulling the 0.5 first without pulling over bullseye, and I'm pulling the extra 10. Center the ball and hit perfect, and this, in my opinion, is probably gonna be our best chance, together with hole number 2, to consistently have a drop on our scorecard. Bounces on the fairway and it rolls up lovely right at pin for a beautiful eagle here on hole number 8. Get the guides on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Hole number 9 is a difficult par 5 due to its being so long. Here playing an NMT with a power 5 ball. It's a P5 win 5 ball. This to help myself a lot on the second shot. Adjust max +10, all the top spin, all the right spin. We're pushing up 10 yards in this instance when it comes to this particular play, and using 1.5 ball of a right curl, trying to hit perfect. Obviously with a max OP shaky needle, this is going to be some grades involved, but this fairway is so wide and open that that's not really going to matter. It's all that matters is to get the correct distance to be able to play the second shot. Obviously, if there is headwind here, it's going to be very difficult to have a solid chance for the Albatross. And that's obviously something that will be very boring. Then you might even have to play for an eagle in the end. Now, bullseye by the edge of the rough line. I like these type of plays because it removes the inconsistency with trying to find a specific ring reference by the rough line. Ball guideline through the hole, and the reason for that is that we do not want to fall short. No elevation, and from +17, +18, I'm using 100% slider with no elevation P5 numbers. And again, the reason I'm aiming through the hole like I'm doing is to compensate for the fact that I'm dropping down into the water with my target, and therefore I do lose distance. Now, it's all about hitting perfect to give ourselves a chance, and if we do have made the correct tweak in terms of the wind angle, we can get ourselves a nice drop here for an albatross from distance on hole number 9. Wow, what a tough win to start with, and this is a Thor's Hammer 6 plus play that is focused on P4 or P5 wind 4 ball, 8.1 top spin. We're starting at the top of a plus 5 yard mark with Thor's Hammer level 8, and when it comes to Thor's Hammer level 7, level 6, we start at the top of plus 8 yard mark. I would say the red ring, use that as a reference for Thor's Hammer level 8. When it comes to Thor's Hammer level 6 and 7, follow the ball guidelines position, which is what we're looking for. Adjustment is max plus 10 P5, no overpower, no curl, nothing. Center the ball and we're gonna do a double bounce over the bunker. Even if you would clip the top of the bunker, it will roll out onto the fairway and then you just play it safely down towards the green. As we're using 8.1 topspin, then Thor's Hammer level 6 only has 7.8. We recommend there to push up half a ring to compensate for the less topspin there. This is not a shot that is tested with a wind 4 ball. Likely it would need a little bit more topspin, but if you do not have the possibility to play with a wind 5 ball, then make sure to test with a wind 4 ball in practice before you are going live. On the second shot, we are going to bounce over the bunker and we're gonna look for a fringe check where the fringe meets the green, and now we do have plus 14. Plus 14 is gonna be our base, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. 2 backspin to start with. We're looking for the top of the red ring by the sand trap line, ball guideline to go through the hole. Now, when we do set up this, it's very easy to still have a little gap from the top of the red ring to the sand trap line, and you can see that now. I still have a little gap, and now what I do is that I compensate with 1 click of overpower. If I have my red ring by the sand trap line, I'm not using any overpower because that's our default position. So once we have switched, once we have set up our position, we're switching to 2 backspin and 0.9 left spin. Adjustment from plus 14 as a base is a 30% slider. Power 5 numbers, no elevation, and we're dropping it dead center. This, even though I'm dropping it here, and this was actually on my live attempt, I would say that I would strongly, I would strongly see this one as a bonus drop. Very, very important to have that in mind. On hole number 3, we're gonna play, if not the longest, but one of the longer par 5s we do have in the game. So let's pray for some tailwind. Otherwise, it's gonna be a very difficult eagle to get. Because here we're playing generally for an eagle. Sure, the albatross will be there if being very unlucky, or being very lucky, but generally eagle. So I'm playing an NMT adjustment and then pushing up. Max overpower, trying to obviously use all the topspin that I can, and want to go as far as possible. In scenarios like this, playing with a topspin boost ball won't be bad either, but here, as I'm playing mainly to make sure that I do have some power on the second shot as well, the power 5 ball will help a lot when it comes to the second shot. Now, you can see here now that I can attack the pin for an albatross, but it's very glitchy on certain spots there. So if not getting to the perfect spot, the glitch will, or like the glitches may risk you rolling into the rough on the back of the green. 10% elevation here on the second shot, but let's say like this, as always when it comes to elevation, it's a floating number and we are adapting elevation to work together with the rest of the adjustment. Making the adjustment, aiming short of the hole as I do have tailwind. We don't want to come in too hot. Centered ball and hit perfect. There we go. And we can see this ball here now coming perfect, and you can see that little roll there, and that's obviously not what we want, but in the end it's played in a way that we are counteracting the glitch, making sure that we're not going to roll into the rough on the back if we're aiming at the hole initially. And again, it's an eagle and run. Sure, once again, the albatross is there, but it's going to be made by very, very few players. Take your game to the next level with our Ultimate Tournament text guide for the Driving Legends 9-hole cup, a mix of the Quail Hollow and the Old Bridge Park. We do have steady winds, which means that you will benefit from having the same wind in the qualifying round as you will have in the final round. And even better chance then to try out our guides to really see if it works for you in qualifying and then also in the final round. Scan the QR code here on the screen or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy via the link in the description down below. For Expert, we look to cater to free-to-play balls and paid balls when it comes to Apocalypse level 4+ as our base driver. Obviously, the rock, quarterback, and drivers like that will occur as well depending on situation. When it comes to Master, it's free-to-play balls, it's paid balls as well, where Apocalypse level 5 and or the Extra Mile level 9 will be the lowest driver where we go. So make sure to try out our guides, patreon.com/golfclashtommy, link in the description down below. Hole number 2, and we are going to start with the rock and a P3 ball. Then we're moving 11 rings right. Yeah, that's a very specific amount of rings, but that's because we do want to have the correct angle in terms of pushing the ball up left. So once we have done that, swap into a POC and B52 bag. 5 top spin and 4 left spin, playing with a Kingslayer. Adjust is going to be max plus 10 P3, and we're pushing the rings due to the trees. We don't want to zoom out and be inaccurate with our ring pull. That's why we're pushing. Max curl to the left, max overpower with a completely slow needle. We're looking to be having our drive to approximately 385 yards. When it comes to the second shot, be prepared with your B52, and what we're going to do is that we're gonna use a back brake check. Sounds almost hilarious, but we're gonna use the brake that is behind the pin. You can see here that we're moving up, being in line with pin, using that as a check. Then we are moving to have the yellow ring to be by the rough line, using 1 left spin and 1.5 bar of backspin. Ball guideline will go through the hole just slightly, and from +3 we're using 17% slider, -5% elevation, P5 numbers. Make the adjustment, center the ball and hit perfect, and we're gonna see ourselves having a very good chance for a drop. This is what I would say one of the easier ones of the Quail Hollow. Which also means that if you're going to have anything to do with winning the tournament, not get to the final round, but winning the tournament, then you kind of have to drop this one. It's qualifying round, we are taking it easy, and we are just going to lay up without having to use any overpower. This shot can be played with, or this play can be played with a Luminary as well. You don't have to play with a Power 5 Wind 4 ball. But I like to play with this type of ball. We have got a lot of these, and it helps on the second shot. Now, favorite 12-1 on the drive, start at the top of +12 with the blue ring, just by the edge there of the kind of bridge side, or whatever it's called in English. Now, 1.8 ball of curl to the right. And no overpower, no underpower whatsoever. It's only 2 right spin. There's no top spin, no back spin. And the goal here is to get the ball consistently up the fairway, which is, again, this drive was super duper consistent with, and great left, great right is just very fine. 325 to 335 yards is what we are looking for. On the second shot, we are playing with the Guardian. The reason we play with the Guardian is that we can then rely on the same type of adjustment every time. Because when playing with a Cataclysm and people having Cat 5, 6, 7, and 8, that's going to be some different adjustment apply there. So in this case, we're going to have plus 18 as a base. That's 80% slider minus 5% elevation, P5 numbers. 2 right spin, and we're gonna go with half a bar of top spin. The important part is to have the ball guideline through the hole, approximately 1.5 green square. In this angle, we're not gonna do anything. We're just going to play as is, and we are going to add 2 clicks of overpower if we do have the angle that is a little bit more headwind, because otherwise we risk coming short. So getting this ball to drop for an albatross is definitely a bonus, but as I said in the beginning, there's definitely more fairway to explore further ahead. But as committed to this one, it's a simple, safe one, can be played with a free-to-play ball, and it's a nice drop chance. Get the guide on patreon.com/golf-tommy. Hole number 4, this is another long par 4, and here I would say it would definitely benefit from having some tailwind, and then we could get ourselves much closer and we could give ourselves an easier time. NMT with a P1 ball is what we are going to do, and that's why you can see this as a replay glitch. It shall not be in plus 16. So you can see there now that it kind of jumped back to plus 5, which looks very very suspicious in that sense, but that's because it's a replay glitch. Start with a P1 ball, adjust, switch to a P3, side spin 4, win 5 ball. In this instance, we're looking to get this ball to around 405 yards. Adjustment is max plus 10. Now for the second shot, we are attempting a rough bump. We're playing this rough bump on that sloped rough that is by the green. Here you can obviously do different ways. You can go for the rough bump, but you can also go for a bounce up by using the fairway that is to the right to bounce the ball towards the pin. All down to what you prefer doing, and also what gives the best possible effect to get that drop. 4 right spin, 3 top spin is what's being used here. 1-1 minus 1 is the base that we are using, which is from plus 4. So that's why I'm not adding any elevation in the info box. Adjustment is done. We are then going to apply tweaks based off wind angle and obviously strength as well when it comes to long distance sniper shots. This to try to be as accurate as possible when it comes to these type of long distance shots. Perfect ball into the rough, rolls up onto the green, dropping that one right side of the cup for an eagle here on hole number 4. So now we are going to play with max top spin and 1 left spin. This is an Apoc 7 and 8 play. This is our aggressive option that we will be having in the guide. And the reason this is called aggressive is because we're taking a risk on the drive here, where a great left, or at least a bad great left, will clip the rough with the second bounce. I'm certain with that, even though I didn't test that. I was super lucky not clipping the rough with a single great left, but that is again with an Apoc 8. And I would say like this, any great left would not be good here. We're starting at the top of plus 27 with the second bounce to be just before it gets clipped by the rough. That's my only focus point. Adjust is max plus a 10 P5, and the goal here is to get the ball up to around 415 to 425. I'm playing with a win 5 P5 ball to make sure that the only overpower I need to have is what I adjust into on the drive, which is not much with a win 5. With a win 4, that will increase. It's also a problem on the second shot with a win 4 ball as well, that you might go into overpower, have to go overpower there. So I would say if you cannot play with a win 5 P5 ball here, I would recommend to go with a more safer option with a luminary and not really waste much time here. I'm not gonna sit here and say that even though this is an aggressive option and our play for pushing for albatross, I'm not gonna sit here and say that this is gonna be money. This is gonna be a tough one to drop, and you are dependent on playing with high level Cataclysm or to play with a Horizon level 6+. We're looking for max top spin half a right, having the ball guideline to go approximately 1.5 green square left of pin, with the second bounce to be just to where it clips the rough. Plus 15 by the rough line shake, because sometimes we are not going to be in landing position yardage. then plus 15 is gonna be 70% slider, 10% elevation, P5 numbers. Here I do drop down into the water, and then I should be playing with 2 clicks of overpower, which I don't do here. And the reason I do need to do that overpower is because obviously I'm falling down to a lower point. It's not going to be any risk, but when forgetting that, you can see here that it comes in with a nice line, but it curves off to the right and we go short. So I need those 2 clicks of overpower and then to give a chance. I would say with a perfectly executed here, we will be around the hole, and we will have an outside chance for an albatross. But once again, we play an aggressive drive, and we need to really think twice before we play if you feel confident with that. It's only qualifying rounds, it's nothing against playing a safer play and just getting the eagle, but this is the aggressive option for us here on hole number 5. Get the guide on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. For the free-to-play option and the less aggressive option, I would have to say we're going to play with 7 topspin and 2 left spin. Have in mind also you're playing with Apocalypse level 5 has to play with an albatross ball, or you're going to have to increase the overpower, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. Blue ring by the rough line at max with Apoc 8. And we are adjusting max plus 10 P5. Pay close attention to how many rings you adjust into overpower. You can see here I'm being approximately 2.5 rings into overpower after my adjustment. And what I'm gonna do here now is that I'm gonna use a half a ring more than what I adjust into. So I'm gonna play with 3 rings of overpower, no curl. I would say a great right is better than a great left, but looking to where my first and the second bounce are, we should be fine with a great left here too. But again, I'm not gonna sit here and say that this is gonna be a simple drive, because it's not. If you do not execute properly, there's definitely a risk of clipping in the rough with either the first bounce or with the second bounce, with this or with the aggressive option. If you play with Apocalypse level 5, you need to add 1 ring extra overpower to compensate, which obviously will be tricky, but unfortunately that's what's going to be needed to be done. So for the second shot here, it's either going to be the big dog level 8 plus or with the Cataclysm level 6 plus, because we want to use 7 top spin to right spin. So the thing we need to have in mind here is that, and the reason I'm actually using this video as well as a replay, is because I'm making a very bad great left, and it's still safe, and that's actually good to have in mind because we have a lot of fairway to bounce on after the rough there. So the intention here is to clip the rough with the second bounce. That's the intention. I'm adjusting max plus 10 from plus 10 using 2 right spin and 7 top spin, and then I'm using whatever overpower I adjust into as the overpower amount. You can see how bad that great left is, and that bad great left will miss the rough. And now I'm thinking, okay, I'm 100% gonna roll into the rough in the back, even with that glitch roll. But I'm still super safe because I do have a lot of room. So even if you do hit a bad great, you will be very safe. And again, we are not playing for anything else than an eagle. So regardless where we end up for a wedge or for a putt, it's still gonna be an easy way for us to lock in the eagle. And we have only wasted a luminary. Get the guide on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Hole number 7 is honestly looking very straightforward, very easy, but it's not. This is a long par 4 first and foremost, where you should be prepared of having to play with your sniper from distance, if not having a very favorable tailwind, and we can push the drive very hard. Here I'm playing from a max P2 line, which is plus 11, and then the clearing by the rough line, adjust, max no elevation, all the top spin, 2 left spin, and then playing max OP with a slower needle. Here you can play with a P4 ball, you can play with a P5 ball, you can literally do whatever. We're gonna bounce and then hope for this little rollout here. And that's also one key to this type of play, is that we do want to have a consistent rollout, because if we're getting one time 400 yards and one time 415 yards, that's going to change the second shot a lot. Now you can see the second shot with the luminary. This is only here to display one way of playing this shot. If you can reach far enough, you can go for a rough bump on top of the bunker in the left, which definitely is an alternative. But if not, being able to reach there, let's say with this type of wind, then bouncing like we're doing here with our sniper is the best possible way to attack the pin with no risk of losing out on the birdie, but also giving us a shot for the eagle. 10% elevation is what I'm using here in the video, but have in mind that this elevation, as always, is a floating number, and we're only using that to play together with the rest of the adjustment, like such as spins and the club distance adjustment that we're using and such. So don't be afraid of changing that number. Perfect ball, you can see that the ball bounces on the fairway, and then the green is slightly downhill, so it's very easy to come in too hot. Coming in a little bit too hot and just right. But in the end, though, it's a safe birdie, and we're giving ourselves a chance for an eagle without really spending any special ball here with this one. But again, there is different way of playing on this one, but it's very easy to look at hole number 7 as an easy, straightforward par 4, whereof, sure, the drive is that, but the second shot is not an easy one. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this playthrough for Master Division with Various Wind. Make sure to scan the QR code here on the screen and go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. That is via the link in the description down below. This for our premium guides. We offer premium guides for all the game modes in Golf Clash. Thank you once again for watching. I wish you the best of luck in your Golf Clash game.